coming to the WWE fan camp. I'd like to go ahead and introduce our host for today, the voice of WWE, Michael Cole.
Right, let's do this again because I didn't get booed enough. The voice of WWE, Michael Cole. Now we're talking. Listen, before we get started, I need your guys' help because I want to send a selfie out on Twitter so JBL and Ken are jealous that I'm in San Diego and they're not. You have to help me here, okay? Thank you guys very much. There is one coal miner here today, right? Listen, I'm so excited to be here today for this event. Of course, it's the WWE Mattel panel. We're going to talk about action figures today. We got some very special guests. Daniel Bryan. Paul Heyman. And the immortal Hulk Hogan. We also have a surprise for you all. For the very first time, we are going to unveil an action figure that has never ever been a part of the WWE Mattel line before. You're going to see that a little bit later on in the event today. But before we get started, I want to introduce to you guys some talented designers from Mattel that make this all possible. Please welcome Mitchell Cameron and Bill McKenna. You got more cheers than I did, by the way. I'm not going to ask you questions. Give us your presentation.
Bill and I really just showed up to see Hogan, but we figured while we're here, we might have to do something big. So Bill's been a pretty busy guy designing some new stuff for you. We do a ton of figures with Mattel, and we're really excited, as always, to come out to San Diego Comic-Con, show you the latest and greatest of what we're doing, give you some sneak peeks of stuff that's coming later this year and early in 2015. All right?
So, some of the new figures, first time ever figures in line are El Torito, Eva Marie, Ricky the Dragon, and Jerry the King Lawler. All be available in the coming year.
So we also have an added sneak peek, so what we're going to show you now are some early sculpts, so we haven't even applied a paint to them at this point. So these are coming early in 2015. A lot of the new first-time liners.
So, Rusev is coming.
USA! USA!
Also Adam Rose. Bo Dallas. Lana. And we're also the first one will be Sami Zayn.
So we also have battle packs, and these celebrate key rivalries and tag teams. Celebrated 2-packs, and each one comes with a battle accessory.
So there'll be a Daniel Bryan and Triple H, Authority version of Triple H. And New Age Outlaws. Also, we're going to be updated Usos. And this one's in the case right now with John Cena and the Ultimate Warrior. And an upcoming one, we're going to be doing some more fantasy matchups. We're going to be doing Shawn Michaels from 1997 versus Undertaker from 2014. And Big Show 2014 versus Andre the Giant. The first ever with some mutton chops from Mattel.
Alright. Moving on to the Elite Collection, these are our premium deluxe figures, deluxe articulation, added decoration, includes ring gear and accessories. These are the highest quality figures in our line.
So, we will be doing Batista.
In blue.
Roman Reigns. And Cesaro. And also we will do more flashbacks in the line. We'll do X-Pac. And the Giant Going to come with 3 separate hair pieces. You can pick which scuzzy hair doink or the rarely seen afro doink.
So Elites are our premium figures, but a few years ago we did a line called Defining Moments, where the absolute best figures we've ever done. We've heard your feedback in 2015. We're bringing them back with 4 special Defining Moments figures throughout the year, tied to the major WWE events, starting with Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, and Survivor Series. And so we're going to show you a couple of these today. The first one is our first figure, which is from the Royal Rumble. And we're going to celebrate a guy who got a lot of the people in this room into WWE in the first place. The reason why many of you are here today. The reason why we're wearing this t-shirt. It's our first ever
Hulk Hogan from WrestleMania 3. Including the first time he's ever offered that version of the WWE World title.
And we'll show you our WrestleMania Defining Moments figure. Another first time online figure that you guys have been asking for a long time. So that's it. Make sure you swing by the Mattel booth over the next few days. We're showing a lot more in the booth. All the figures that we showed today will be represented in our case, so please come by and ask us questions.
Other things we didn't show here will be in the booth.
I have a question. Why have you guys never made the Michael Cole action figure in the orange singlet?
It hasn't been on TV in a while.
Well, a couple of years ago, it was a WrestleMania match in my little orange thing.
It was hard to replicate all those tattoos.
I want to thank all you guys, by the way, for voting that match the 186th best. Ladies and gentlemen, big thank you now to Mitchell and Bill. Thanks a lot. Now time to introduce our superstar panel here today. Our first guest is a man who defeated 3 of the greatest superstars in the history of WWE on one night in New Orleans at WrestleMania 30. He went on to become the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Ladies and gentlemen, Daniel Bryan. Is perhaps the most influential manager. He of course created that as well. He is, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, instead of this schmuck introducing me, my name is Paul Heyman. And I am the one behind the one in 21-1. I earned that distinction when my client, ladies and gentlemen, streak at WrestleMania. That's how you introduce somebody.
Always a pleasure, Paul. And our final guest. Do I even have to say his name? No. Do I even have to say his name? No. Ladies and gentlemen, the immortal Hulk Hogan.
Too, brother.
And not many people know this, but actually, I am too. So let's start. Let's ask the guys some questions here, get their thoughts on some things, and then we're going to open up the floor for you guys to be able to ask some questions of our superstars. But first, I want to start with Daniel. And everyone wants to know, how's your health? How's everything going?
It's frustrating, to say the least. It's just interesting because I've been wrestling for a long time in a hard style, and they uncover some things and they uncover other things. But I'm trying to stay optimistic, and hopefully I'll be back soon.
Well, there's probably not many people in the world that love you more than you do, but tell us what it's like being a television personality, to see your likeness on a shelf in the form of an action figure.
It all depends actually on the percentage of the royalty, so they get to negotiate. We had a 2-pack with me and Brock Lesnar last year, which was great because I got a royalty on my own and, of course, a percentage of my clients. So, it's all about the shekels in the Heyman household. And, I would like $3 or $4 that action figures to come out this year because it's just more royalty for Paul Heyman.
Tell us how things have changed when it comes to action figures from back in the rock and wrestling era in the 1980s to today. I mean, an amazing transformation, right?
Well, brother, when we first had the action figures, I don't know if you remember or not, but the old LJN dolls. Yeah. They were rock hard, and if you played with them, you'd get hurt. You know? And then we went to the San Francisco toy maker dolls, which they put the same head on all the bodies. You know? So everybody looked the same except for the head. And then I think we had Jack Specifics and several dolls. But now, with Mattel, this is the real deal, brother. I mean, these dolls are just perfect. There's a lot of changes, over all the years, but it's really cool to see that Hulk Hogan doll still around, brother. Man.
Mitchell, it's interesting the way that you actually create these action figures. You have to get these superstars, and you just take us through that process a little bit about how that works.
Yeah, I mean, we get them on the road, and we sit down, and Bill can chime in on here, and we have some pretty advanced technology where we can scan their face, because we know that people want absolute authenticity when it comes to action. So these are as faithful a recreation of these real-life guys as possible.
Yes, Paul?
No, yes is his gimmick.
Daniel, you grew up a fan. Did you collect action figures?
No.
I guess that was probably the wrong question. You don't even own a television. But.
Actually, Ray and I recently got cable. And it's the first time I've had cable since I was probably 15 years old. So, congratulations.
Paul, in your upcoming DVD, My Name is Paul Heyman.
Oh, my name is Paul Heyman.
You've managed some of the greats, of course, from Stunning, Steve Austin in WCW to, of course, Brock Lesnar here today in WWE. Hulk alluded to it when he started the the panel here today. What does it take to be a Paul Heyman guy?
I humbly suggest that to be a Paul Heyman guy, it takes absolute devotion and subservient to my brilliance. You know, I mean, it's you know, listen, for all, I mean, I could be out here tonight and today. It's so late in New York and it's such a long way. Why do people have some really?
Wait, brother, you know, I don't know about this subservient to your brilliance. Number one, Jimmy Hart's my manager. I would show you some mutual respect for being, you know, one of the outlaws, which I really respect.
I've been praised by Hulk Hogan. And I'll give you the shell exterior of me right now going, yeah, okay, I've been praised by Hulk. Inside a little kid and he's going, oh, we've been praised by Hulk. So I'm ignoring the rest of your question. Thank you.
Hulk, back in April in New Orleans, you kicked off one of the most memorable WrestleManias ever.
This is Silverdome. I tried to blame Stephanie McMahon. I did.
What did she say when you?
Well, I was in the UK, you know, on a tour with the WWE, and we had a press conference, Stephanie and I, you know, a bunch of media. And they started asking me about it, and I blamed her. I said, right before WrestleMania, usually you go to the go position 5 minutes ahead of time, and since, you know, it's my first time back, and they didn't know what I was up to, you know, they said, well, Hulk, you need to go 20 minutes early. So I was at the go position. And all of a sudden, they drug me away, and they said, there's a press conference. And I tagged with Stephanie was getting the makeup done, you know, she didn't make it. So they said, well, what about the Andre the Giant Battle Royal? What was he really like? What was it like picking him up? What kind of cow is he? 20 million Andre the Giant question. Now you got to go back to the go position. It's time to go to the ring. So I blamed Stephanie for me being an idiot. I guess she was hoping to try to put that heat on me, and I did. But I still blame Stephanie for that Silverdome.
But so with the Silverdome aside, you were in the Superdome in the ring at the same time.
I thought it was the Sky Dome.
Hey, you had a great match there as well. You had a great match at all the domes, actually.
We sold them all out.
What was it like to be in the ring that night with both Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock to kick off WrestleMania?
It was kind of a surprise. You know, I knew something fishy was up. You know, because they kind of let you know what's going on. And, you know, when I went to be the host and to start WrestleMania in the Superdome, there's going to be a little surprise. I really didn't think much of it, but running back from the press conference, right back to the go position to go to the ring when I was getting ready to go out, I looked over and I saw The Rock and Stone Cold. I said, something's up. Something's up. So, you know, I saw that big grin on Vince's face. I went on out, and when they came out to the ring, I didn't really know what to expect. And Stone Cold got in my face and said, if someone wants to see Stone Cold put a whip ass on Hulk Hogan, and I didn't know where he was going with it. And it was all kind of like a surprise to me, but it was so cool, man, because everybody got in the rhythm, and they helped me get by the stroke of the Silverdome. They were really great. The Rock came out, the place went crazy, but it was a great moment in the ring with all those guys. It's something I'll never forget. It was unbelievable. I just said, rang the damn bell. I was ready.
So, when we get to WrestleMania 40, who do you think would be joining you guys in the ring at that moment?
Well, I don't know if Daniel Bryan will be there, because he'll probably be the WWE champion at that time. I'm not exactly sure where Cena's going to be at that time, but, you know, Cena could be out there with us 10 years from now. You know, that's a tough question. That's a real tough question. But the one thing I know, I'm betting on Daniel Bryan being champion.
So, speaking of Daniel, the Yes Movement has taken over not only WWE, but it's become a pop culture phenomenon. I mean, everywhere. You see it at basketball games, hockey games, you see it at football games in Europe, you see it everywhere. Guys, how did this all start? I mean, it seemed like it came out of nowhere at one point.
Yeah, it's so weird, man. It's and, you know, they've actually asked me to stop giving credit to the guy who I took it from, which is, oh, you need to stop giving this guy his press, whatever. But it's a fighter named Diego Sanchez, and he fights for the UFC, and if, like, he was really, really funny. He would come to me, yes, and it's like, holy cow, like, this guy's ready to go, you know? And so that's kind of where, and I thought, that's really annoying. Like, he's one of my favorite fighters to watch because he fights with such heart and all that kind of stuff. But it was just an annoying thing, and I was trying to be a bad guy and trying to be over the top and that sort of thing, so I just started doing it. And who knows why anything catches on in pop culture? I mean, it's just crazy, but like little things just do. And how it got to be how it is now, I have no idea. It's baffling.
So, what was it like that night at WrestleMania 30 when you won the championship and there were 80,000 fans doing the yes chant in the dome? I mean, that moment must have just been surreal.
Yeah, it was really cool, and my niece got to come into the ring, and the next day she found a little streamer in her clothes, and she said to my sister, she said, oh, Mommy, this is from Uncle Bryan's little party with his friends. And so that's how she remembers the whole thing. And so, yeah, I mean, it's really cool, but one of the things that was really, sometimes it's hard to just enjoy the moment of things. I was really able to enjoy the moment until they kept telling me, keep yesing. And I've got these two, like, 25-pound titles in my hand, and, like, I'm trying to keep doing it, and I'm getting really tired. Oh, no. And then, like, of course, Vince, he's always thought I've been small and weak anyways, and so you know, just added, you know, more stuff. So, but it was really cool.
Well, while we're on the subject of WrestleMania 30, you can see it right now on demand on the WWE Network. Subscribe now. And download the app while you're doing it, please. Oh my! Hey, Paul, WrestleMania 30, the night that Brock Lesnar broke the greatest streak in the history.
There's no booing.
In retrospect, it was one of the highlights of my career for calling a match. I mean, what an incredible night. But for you, everything you've accomplished in this business, was that perhaps the greatest moment of your career?
Absolutely. I mean, it's. We walked through the curtain, and the first face that Brock and I saw was actually John Cena, of all people. And Cena leaned over to someone and said, "That was the victory no other man could have." It's an accomplishment. It's.
Hang on a second, Paul. Bryan has to take a call from Bryan.
Actually, it's free. Sorry.
Listen, you know, there are eras that begin and end at WrestleMania, and there are many people who will go down in line as being an all-time great and a legend in this and that. But there's only one man in history that's ever beaten the streak, and it was without it. I mean, no one's ever going to get to 21 now. It's impossible. It's not going to happen. Not in this or any other era. And it was the victory that no other man could accomplish. So to be there and have the best seat in the house and to have my client and my best friend have that accomplishment occur was just, it's still something that to me I find rather breathtaking.
Hulk, what were your thoughts that night? You were there when you saw Undertaker lose.
Well, my son Nick happened to sit down with the catering. There was a big monitor. And Nick goes, "Hey Dad, what's going on out there?" I said, "Undertaker's going to win, of course." Five. I mean, it was almost like, you know, I told myself I wouldn't do any more funerals or weddings, but it was almost like being in a funeral, even in the back of all the people that worked and the guys that were helping setting up stuff. It was just the weirdest vibe, man. It was like somebody died. It was crazy. Thanks,
Hulk, I want to talk briefly about, and again, another shameless WWE Network plug, as you can see on the WWE Monday Night Wars. Hulk, when you went to the dark side, you joined NWO. You created a seismic shift in the battle between WWE and WCW. Tell us how that came about. I mean, why did you do this?
Well, you heard him, bro. This is for life, right? Yeah. Everybody knows there's a little edge to Hulk Hogan somewhere, you know. It's all about energy. It's all about energy, like I was saying. You know, it's either you get around the business, you get in the back, and there's this momentum thing that's real positive, or sometimes it flattens out, or sometimes kind of like, almost like now, with the authority creating so much chaos and energy. Back it's so negative. They're always trying to put down people like Bryan and going after Roman Reigns. It's just crazy energy. So it was kind of like a timing thing. When I went Hollywood, and I went Hollywood for life, it was an energy thing. It was just a vibe, the way it felt. It's kind of like the way it is right now. Kind of like Bryan and Roman Reigns might need Hollywood to come back and help them out. I love the authority, okay? I went head-to-head against some big fans. I know what it's like to deal with the authority, so it's just an energy thing. It feels just kind of like it does now. The same type of energy.
We're going to get to fans' questions in just a few moments, but of course, just a couple of weeks away, I think it's 3 weeks now from SummerSlam, just north in Los Angeles at the Staples Center for the 6th straight year. You can see that on the WWE Network. Paul, you and I were actually talking about this in the car on the way over here today about the match between Cena and Brock Lesnar and what we can expect out of this match. We were talking about Extreme Rules a couple of years ago when Cena and Brock met for the first time in that era. And for me, it was one of the top 5 matches that I've ever called in my career. It was absolutely phenomenal from a story standpoint, to the physicality of it, to the battle that Cena had to climb up the hill, to what Lesnar did to him. What do you expect this time around, Paul?
Well, here's a piece of information that not a lot of people know. When Brock Lesnar came back to WWE and he had his first match back against John Cena, Brock was still suffering the effects of diverticulitis, which is what ended his UFC career. So whatever you think of sports entertainment, here's a blunt fact. You've never seen Brock Lesnar at 100% health against John Cena, and at SummerSlam, you will have that opportunity. So what you can expect from SummerSlam is this. If Hulk Hogan has a vision to open WrestleMania 40 with John Cena, he can move that timetable up to WrestleMania 31, because after SummerSlam, John Cena is going to be wide open for non-physical appearances.
Daniel, would you care to make a prediction on that match?
No.
Like Mr. T said, I predict pain.
There'll be a lot of it. Paul, you better stay out of the crossfire.
Oh, I'm not needed. Was I needed for my client Brock Lesnar to come to the Undertaker's undefeated streak at WrestleMania? No. It's an F5 and a 1, 2, 3. Hey, I'll tell you right now, I'll give you, this won't be a prediction, ladies and gentlemen. This one is a spoiler. Want to know the finish of SummerSlam? Brock Lesnar is going to F5 John Cena. Brock Lesnar is going to pin John Cena. And Brock Lesnar will become the reigning, defending WWE Heavyweight Champion of the world.
Woo! No surprise that I beg to differ, but nonetheless. We're going to take questions now from the WWE fans that are here today, and they've lined up. So one at a time, one question each, guys. Try to keep it brief, and then direct them to the member of the panel you want to talk to.
Before I get into my question, I've been to a lot of wrestling shows, SummerSlam, WrestleMania. But my all-time favorite was in 2000 when a federation I used to watch on the Nashville Network came to LA for Heatwave 2000. That was my all-time favorite show, and I thank you for that memory, Paulie.
I
Are you shy to just say the letters?
Hey man, if you ask Heyman the question, just don't say ECW. Whatever you say. No, just don't say ECW.
We don't warm me back there. The wrestling industry is a very unique industry, and it seems like there are a lot of barriers to entry. So this would go to the entire panel. How would you advise if someone went to get into writing for wrestling?
Paul, you were a major player in the creative team for a long time in this company.
I would get advanced psychotherapy. I would learn how not to upset Vince McMahon on a daily basis. The way to become a writer in this industry is honestly to send in samples of your work and demonstrate the ability to go in as many different directions as you possibly can. And as with anybody else with a dream, I would advise you, don't take no for an answer. If that's what you want to do, push, cajole, be the actor who delivers a pizza to the casting director with an 8x10 tape to the pizza box. Get it any way you can. Get noticed, get it any way that you can, and once you're in, hold on to it for dear life.
Yeah. You jump in the ring with Brock Lesnar with your resume and your sock, brother. I guarantee you will notice.
Thank you. Next question.
Cool. All right. I'm still tripping out that I'm in the same room with Hulk Hogan. I don't know if it's y'all, but I'm like, what? What's happening? All right. Hey, so I have a question about the WWE Network, which, if you guys haven't heard, is only $10 a month, right?
No, it isn't. It's $9.99.
So, me and my brothers have been wondering, because I know this might be, I guess, Daniel Bryan mostly. You guys get paid per pay-per-view. I guess you get some royalties for that, for appearances. How does that work with the WWE Network? I'm just very, very curious about it.
Yeah.
Because
I don't think anybody knows how that works. It's a new system. It's a wrestling.
Okay, you got another question?
Okay, yeah, Paul Heyman.
Did you write these down in your phone before you came out?
Okay, check it out. I was texting my brothers and they texted me all these questions, so I might as well ask this.
Okay, you got one more, so ask
this is a stupid one. Michael Cole, does Jerry Lawler smell like strippers?
There's so many places I could go with that.
I guess you could just say yes or no and we'll be
Wait, next thing. There you go. Way to work the mic.
Dan and Bryan, I have a question for you. Why are you so excited and Randy Orton is so boring?
I don't know.
Good things about Expendables 4. I'm hearing that you might star in the next Expendables movie. What? Can you comment on this?
I'm going to give you my number. Make sure they call me. I haven't heard a word.
Well, I, for one, am actually pretty starstruck to be in the same room as Daniel Bryan. Dude, you are the man. My question for you and Paul Heyman. There's been a lot of buzz about the recent signing of Kenta from Japan. So I was wondering, will either you two would be up to work with him as a competitor or as possibly a future Paul Heyman guy?
For those of you who don't know who Kenta is, dude's awesome, man. He's probably one of my favorite matches of my career. It was against Kenta in 2006 from a company called Ring of Honor. It's interesting because they asked me for .com about the comparisons between Sin Cara and Kenta because they're similar, huge name signings. Sin Cara was a huge star in Mexico and one of the biggest draws in the world when he got signed by WWE. And one of the things about Kenta is that So with Sin Cara, with Lucha, it's a very technical, weird thing that everybody kind of has to be able to know how to do. Kenta, he'll just come in and kick you really hard. The kid that just asked me the question as far as why is Randy Orton boring and why am I exciting, part of the question, part of the answer may be because I kick people really hard. And Kenta kicks people way harder than me, and I actually can't hear out of my left ear because Kenta ruptured my eardrum in 2007. So you have lots of ruptured eardrums and hard kicks to look forward to when he comes in, and it's going to be a lot of fun, I think, for everybody involved.
Hulk, well, Hulk actually is the one that signed Kenta in Japan.
Thank you.
I don't want to get kicked.
That was a big night though over there, wasn't it?
It was huge, bro. When he came out, I mean, there was electricity in the building, but when he came out, then you realize how big of a star he was. It was really unbelievable.
And you'll be able to see him soon at NXT on the WWE Network.
I've been waiting my whole life to see you, Hulkster. Can I get an NWO handshake?
Next. By the way, what are you wearing?
It's just how I always dress.
Oh. Where did he go? Where did he go? The guy that just did. Come back to the mic for a second. Come back to the mic for a second. Come back to the mic for a second. Answer this question as God is your witness. You waited your whole life for that moment, right?
Yes.
Wasn't it worth it?
Yes.
Ain't he the man?
He's the God.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was just wondering, when is there going to be a Paige action figure?
Yeah! I get to decide who's in the line if I'm a big fan.
There you go. Next.
This is for Hogan. I grew up watching you, and not everyone can come up here and like talk on the mic, so I just want to say, on behalf of everyone, thank you for building wrestling like what it is today. And I was wondering if you and Paul Heyman could do like a promo for like WrestleMania 31, you versus Brock Lesnar, like pretend I'm like Mean Gene.
Well, let me tell you something, Mean Gene. I've watched Brock Lesnar all my life. I saw him in Minnesota when he was a little teeny holster. And when he comes to WrestleMania 31, I'm going to take Brock Lesnar in one hand, Paul Heyman in the other. I'm going to mix them up and turn them into broccoli, brother.
Consult with my client over the potential match, and we'll see the Fifth Amendment to protect my right to self-incrimination and getting my butt whipped up here on the panel by Hulk Hogan. Because this table can probably just about hold a leg drop.
I got one left in me.
And it ain't happening to me today here in Farmington.
I would like to add my thanks. This is a stacked panel. This is pretty amazing. I'd like to ask all of you, including Mr. Cole, what was the first program you watched on the WWE Network and why?
WrestleMania 30. Because I wanted to rehear my call again and again and again.
No, when it first started out, your first, that was the first D-Day.
Well, probably the top 10 countdown show that they do. I watch that show religiously every week because they've done some interviews with me before, so I'm always curious to see if they're going to use me. They never do. So.
The first show you watched on the network?
I watched Michael Cole's Greatest Moments.
What did you do with the other 23 hours of your day?
Because I knew the show would be the length of a commercial.
Well, for a little perspective, I watched the '92 Royal Rumble. I'm looking for fun historical things that you immediately went to.
I went and watched the whole NWO deal, brother. I forgot how crazy it was. I relived that whole era. The first thing I watched on the network.
So my experience, I didn't really understand the technology of it. We were playing it in backstage, and Goldust was back there, and it had to have been like Beach Blast '92 or something. And he was wrestling in this really rotten match, and we were giving him crap about it. And that was the first thing I saw on the network.
Thanks, guys. Next.
So first of all, like to all the stars on the panel, I was sitting ringside of WrestleMania 30, and I just wanted to say to all of y'all, thank you for putting on a very well done performance. It was probably being there at WrestleMania 30 was a great experience in my life. My first ever WrestleMania, probably the greatest one I've been at. So now my question to Paul Heyman. So Jerry Lawler may refer to you as the Walrus, forgive me for bringing that up, but so now we have the Weasel, Bobby the Brain Heenan, and would you compare yourself, you, the Walrus, Paul Heyman, to the Weasel, Bobby the Brain Heenan, as being like one of the greatest managers in the history of the company?
Bobby Heenan was a manager, Lou Albano was a manager, Grand Wizard was a manager, Freddie Blassie was a manager, Jimmy Hart is the greatest manager. He's right backstage, being humble, and should come out here and take a bow. The funny thing is, on a legitimate answer to the first thing I watched on the network, it ended up being some old interview with the Rougeaus, and I watched it because as I was passing by the screen, Jimmy Hart was involved in the interview, and I wanted to watch it. With that being said, I'm not a manager, I'm an advocate. And I try to take the role and take it into something new because I won't compare myself to Bobby Heenan and Jimmy Hart and Lou Albano and Grand Wizard and Freddie Blassie and all those that came before me. It's just it's a role that I can't match what they did. I can't touch their body of work. So you redefine the role and try to take it in a different direction. So if you label me a manager, I'll deny that label and I'll take the word advocate any day.
My question is for Hulk Hogan, and my question is about, well, there's a lot of buzz going on with Sting going to the WWE, and my question for you, Hulk, sir, is do you have like a particular favorite moment with you involving Stinger? Whether it's, my favorite moment personally was, I think it was Starrcade '97, that was a good match.
Yeah, that was my favorite match with Sting. Something about the guy, when you got in the ring with him, when I worked at TNA before, I told him probably once a week, you don't realize how great you really are. Sting's very humble. And for many, many years, I wanted Sting to come to the WWE, and it never happened. You know, back during the Hulkamania days, I thought, oh my gosh, if he came here, the matches I could have, I could turn heel, we'd just tear the place down. He never would come. But Starrcade, when I finally got to wrestling, you know, that match you're talking about was my favorite match. But every time you got in the ring with this guy, all you had to do was look at him, and it was just magic. It was like instincts, like dancing or playing the guitar or something. It was nothing. You didn't have to talk about anything. I mean, it was there. And when you get in the ring with a guy, it's either really, really there, or it's kind of there, or it's not there. But with him, it was always there. And I just used to love to get in the ring with him. But the match you talked about was my favorite.
Thank you.
Just got a question for the Hulkster. Just want to let you know, Hulk, my son's right over there in the third row. He's been watching you since he was a kid, so he's been growing up watching you the whole time. 2 short questions. Number 1, The Miz is now copycatting his Hollywood gimmick. To me, it sounds more like a cheap knockoff. What is your perspective on it? And number 2, since you had the WrestleMania 18 with The Rock, if you had one more match to make the biggest headline of all time, who would it be?
Well, this Miz thing's a little tough, bro. If Miz was to run straight into Hollywood Hogan, he'd tear his face off. Hollywood Hogan was a straight up heel, brother, no doubt. If I had one more match left, it'd be really, really tough. You know, there's so many guys, you know, that in my mind, I sit on my phone all day, you know, looking at matches and stuff, and my wife Jennifer goes, "Oh, you're living in the past. You're watching all the wrestling." It's because I love it. I just love it. It's my life. So if there was one match, it's so hard to, you know, say who it would be. I mean, I could tear the place down with Daniel, no doubt. He's all over. You know, Cena and I could tear the place down. Stone Cold haunts me because I never had a match. There's so many, and I'd love to kick Vince's ass again. Because with Vince, I mean, you can hit him wide open, you know. So I mean, there's just so many, so it's hard for me to say just, you know, which one. You know, it's tough.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for being an inspiration.
We got time for a couple more questions before we have to get to some other business here. So,
This question is for Daniel. You got an epic beard. And mine's not as epic, but it's trying to get there. Any advice you could give me on?
So I'm probably not the best person to ask because I've been growing my beard for over 2 years, and like the Wyatt guys, like some of the, like Bray, I think has only been growing his beard like, I don't know, like a little over 12 months or something like that, and it's infinitely longer than mine. So my strategy has just been to just let it go. And anybody who knows anything about hair, that's probably not the wisest thing. And then also, if you have any sort of significant other, they will probably not enjoy it as much as if you were to keep it a little more maintained. So, thank you.
Hogan, bucket list to have met you, and this is pretty close. I'm going to meet you downstairs, so very happy to be here. And also wanted to know, besides the Ultimate Warrior match, which other WWE match was your biggest highlight?
Ah, man, those WrestleMania moments are hard to single out. You know, of course, Andre was huge, bro. But, you know, when I came back after the whole WCW thing, and I came back and everybody was just running wide open, and the talent had turned the dial up 20 million notches. And, you know, I got on the phone with Vince when I was coming back, and I've been, you know, I was at war with the whole WWE at the time. I guess you could say we're trying to put them out of business, you know. So to come back and have Vince go, well, you know, WrestleMania, you better bring it, you know. That match with The Rock really stands out because, you know, once we get that place rocking, the fans were so loyal because I wrestled so long in that town. And The Rock was so over, he was just getting ready to explode on the movie scene. It was an epic night, brother. Those fans were just torn, and it was just electricity. It was awesome. So that match with The Rock is one for the books, man. I love that match.
Great match, thank you. And you mind if I have your name flag right there?
I need to get through the rest of the day with
No.
that's right, yeah, but you can have that, man. You're good.
Hey guys, that's it for questions. Thank you. We got to move on to a couple more things here. Before we do that, I do want to thank our panel today. First off, an honor and privilege for me to be here today with all of you guys. You guys do a wonderful job with these action figures. Couldn't do it without you. Thank you very much. Paul Heyman, ladies and gentlemen, and this is a true story. God's honest truth. If it wasn't for Paul Heyman, I wouldn't be standing here today because he was my first mentor in this business. And if it wasn't for Paul, I wouldn't be calling WrestleMania matches and having that great opportunity that I have now in WWE. So I indeed am a Paul Heyman guy. Wow.
Michael Cole is here because of me, and I just turned straight heel.
Daniel Bryan, working with you has been awesome. You're responsible for that just ugly heel turn that I had there a couple of years ago, by the way, remember? And Hulk, my hero. Thank you for joining us. So once again, thank you for being here today. Don't go anywhere, guys. Don't go anywhere because before we wrap things up, we have a huge surprise addition to the Mattel line of action figures. It's one of the biggest names in our industry. Now at long last, you can bring him home. Ladies and gentlemen, WWE and Mattel are pleased to present the newest addition to this line for the first time ever.
So we talked about defining moments. We're starting off at Royal Rumble with Hulk Hogan, we go to WrestleMania with Razor Ramon. For SummerSlam, we're very excited to bring to our line.
Were you guys surprised?
Yeah.
Stinger, welcome. Thank you. And, what does it mean to you to actually have an action figure part of this WWE Mattel line?
Well, first of all, to be received by the WWE fans the way I was just now is pretty awesome. Again, Paul Heyman, Daniel Bryan, it's awesome to be here with you two, Michael, and you know what, this is the very first of its kind, so it's real special to me, obviously, the very first WWE action figure, Sting action figure, it's huge.
Did you ever think this event would come, that you would be at a WWE event?
You know what, I always thought that it would happen, but so many years have gone by that I'm starting to wonder, so it's like Hulk just said, he said it's about time.
Thank God.
Okay, might as well ask the elephant in the room. When are you going to be in the ring?
SummerSlam!
There's no ring right now. Well, you know what? Why don't I ask you? Should I go back in the ring? Well, you know what? I have been very public about my desire to do just that. And you know what? We're just going to wait and see what happens, and I'm hoping that it will happen.
to thank you all for coming here today. We want to remind everyone, just a couple of little business notes here, that we visit our booth, please, featuring an exclusive Slam City figure available only here at San Diego Comic-Con. Today we're going to be spotlighting Slam City with plenty of fun giveaways. Plus we have an autograph signing featuring Hulkster and Daniel Bryan from 12 until 2 p.m. And tomorrow we'll be back with former Intercontinental Champion Big E signing autographs from 11 a.m. till noon. So once again, let's hear it for our panel.